winning this fight tonight with our name lit up in lights. We are the new kings. This is our time to shine. Set it off like dynamite.
Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger, is brought to you by Texas Lottery. Play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big. And by Whataburger. Head over to your hometown Whataburger and try the patty melt. They may not have been the first to think up this classic sandwich, but they put a pretty tasty spin on it.
For one final time from the Star in Frisco, we welcome you to Whataburger Friday Night Stars. It's area round action across Texas high school football, and we're here to break it down for you from the Globe Life studios. Alongside Hek'ma Harrison filling in for Bill Jones today, I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you're with us. Good news, we've got 5 more weeks of high school football remaining. Just one round in to playoff action, 5 more to go. The bad news, this is the final Whataburger Friday Night Stars of the season as we wrap things up here in the 2022 edition of this show. But Hek'ma, still plenty of football left to be had.
Oh, absolutely. And the trail to AT&T starts last week, and man, it just sucks that so many teams are going to be eliminated. Some really good teams are in this second round. Man, things that you thought would happen only in the semifinals to state are happening this week.
And it really starts with our Whataburger game of the week in a matchup. Just like Hek'ma said, it's sad that these two teams have to meet so early in the playoffs. Undefeated Denton Guyer, one of the top teams, not only in the DFW area, but of course in the state of Texas, going up against Highland Park, the winningest program in all of the state of Texas. Let's start with Denton Guyer. They defeated Marcus last week in dominant fashion, 42-7. They're facing their former head coach, Rodney Webb, who's now the athletic director at Highland Park.
Oh, yeah, man. This is a Denton Guyer team that is primed for a state title. Obviously, we can't make any predictions, but when it comes down to a guy by the name of Jackson Arnold, the quarterback, he is the Oklahoma commit, and he is Mr. Do-It-All for Denton Guyer. This Denton Guyer team also has a wide receiver in Landon Sides. He is incredible, but it is the Denton Guyer defense. That is where they are most loaded. Caleb Rowe, Peyton Bowen, and don't forget Eli Bowen, his brother. And they are loaded all across the front line, and they have a ton of athletes on that side.
Yeah, Notre Dame commit Peyton Bowen, and there's been some rumors that maybe Jackson Arnold could flip to Notre Dame over these next couple of weeks in the recruiting trail. Let's look at Highland Park, though. Defeated Arlington Bowie 44-27. You mentioned Jackson Arnold at quarterback for Guyer. Brennan Storrs having a strong season as well.
I think Randy Allen is always going to have a quarterback, and Brennan Storr is just one of those names in a long list of great quarterbacks for Highland Park, but they rely heavily on Jay Cox, their running back, and they're going to get behind him. They're going to allow him to do his thing. He is really the tone setter for them at running back. And so, again, Randy Allen does not ever lose in these rounds like this, and that's why I said it, man, it's going to be horrible to see one of these teams go.
Yeah, and Randy Allen always wins in the trenches, but can they beat Guyer in the trenches? That's a huge question as well. Speaking of former head coach Rodney Webb, before he was the head coach at Denton Guyer, he was the head coach at Rockwall, and the Rockwall Yellow Jackets have a matchup coming up on the docket with Waxahachie. Rockwall, talk about a team that's been firing on all cylinders. They've won 8 straight since their close loss to Prosper earlier in the season. They did so by rattling off a 50-24 win over Saxe last week.
Yes, and I tell you what, you talk about those Yellow Jackets, the wide receiving core that they have is the best, and a bunch of guys that you have to watch out for. Aiden Meeks, big wide receiver, and also Noble Johnson. They do it in the air, but they also do it on the ground. And I tell you what, man, this is a Yellow Jackets team that comes up against a Waxahachie squad that obviously is coming from a district of, and would say that these guys are battle-tested. That would be saying the least.
Yeah, Waxahachie out of the District of Doom, surviving, working into that playoff spot, and of course winning their first round matchup with the Temple Wildcats out of the Super Syntax region. They're looking for their second 10-plus win season in 25 years. Hek'ma, how could they do it if they get a couple wins in playoffs?
Their defense. Their defense is going to be the reason. Keith Abney is going to have his hands full with those 2 wide receivers that I just talked about. But in the middle of their defense is LaMarcus Reed, the linebacker. man, he is a run stuffer, a guy that goes sideline to sideline. All of the metaphors, you got to use them on a guy like this because he's so tough in the middle. So I tell you what, Kyle, another matchup that I'm saying to myself, God, why can't these guys meet in later rounds? This is going to be a tough one.
Waxahachie has only been to the third round 3 times in the last 25 years. 2019 and 2017, this would be the third time. 2017, Jalen Rager was on that ball club, of course, a first-round draft pick a couple years later. Let's take a look at Lewisville and Arlington. Martin, 2 teams primed for a rematch. This was a matchup where last year Lewisville knocked out Arlington Martin in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think you got an opportunity to see Lewisville last week, so you know exactly how tough they are. Ethan Terrell, he is one of those quarterbacks that, you know, not highly touted in the state of Texas, but still he has the completion percentage to match. He's also a guy that can do it with his legs. They have a guy, though, in Ellison, the running back, man. They put the ball in this kid's navel, and he totes that rock. And I'll tell you what, Lewisville is a tough team to have to come against here in this second round.
Yeah, that defense allowed only 2 touchdowns in their final 7 regular season games, and then, of course, they shut down Allen last week. And, of course, Terrell, 164 yards on the ground. Ellison had 155. Arlington Martin trying to avenge that playoff loss from a year ago. And they're going to have to do so by playing in all 3 phases. Their defense and special teams have had 10 touchdowns this year.
And that's where they make up the difference in all 3 phases of the game. But they get behind Biddle, their quarterback. He's going to have to play really error-free, and that's going to be the challenge for them. You talk about what they do on special teams. Man, they're going up against a Farmers team that's going to challenge them in all 3 phases.
Another playoff rematch, this time from last year, which was the 4th round in the regional finals. South Oak Cliff and Lovejoy. This is a game that Sock took a big step to their state title run for Coach Todd last year.
My goodness, this is the matchup, Kyle. I'm telling you, this South Oak Cliff, Lovejoy, and, man, another tough matchup for Coach Jason Todd and the South Oak Cliff Bears. Then they know that this is the golden ball season for the Golden Bears. But, boy, do they come up against a Lovejoy squad that can absolutely ball. Look, Malik Muhammad and Javon Thomas, 2 cornerbacks that are just all-state type caliber guys. Malik Muhammad is the playmaker back there, a guy that can take it to the house on you if you put it in the wrong area. But Javon Thomas, he is from a good line of athletes. His father, Joseph Thomas, is a former linebacker at the University of Notre Dame. So, look, this is just one of those matchups that you hate to see somebody go, and this is one for sure.
Yeah, South Oak Cliff has struggled to score each of the last couple weeks, but that defense has kept it in them. That defense is going to be tested by quarterback Braden Hagel and company, 67%, but they've never faced a defense quite like South Oak Cliff to this point in the season.
Look, I would say the same for South Oak Cliff not facing anyone like Parker Livingston. Parker Livingston, 6'4", 190 pounds, and he is a sub-track guy, speed to boot. This is just one of those matchups when you look at guys like Kyle Parker, the other wide receiver, the LSU commit, he is a glitchy athlete, Kyle. And I say glitchy, I mean he starts at the 20, next thing you know, he's in the goal line. So this is just, it's going to be an athlete smorgasbord all around, and another matchup that you don't want to see anybody go home.
No doubt about that. And you look at Lovejoy specifically, not 1, not 2, but 3 Division I caliber receivers in that receiving core. That's going to be a fun matchup going up against that South Oak Cliff secondary. We're just getting started on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. When we come back, we take a look at the Showdowns at the Star just down the hallway here at the Ford Center.
This segment was brought to you by Whataburger. Head over to your hometown Whataburger and try the Patty Melt. They may not have been the first to think up this classic sandwich, but they put a pretty tasty spin on it. This segment is brought to you by Texas Lottery. Play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big.
Area round playoff action at the Star in Frisco. It's a showdown at the Star starting on Saturday. The Saturday matchup between these 2 teams. Caddo Mills, one of the surprising units out of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, going up against an East Texas power, Pleasant Grove out of Texarkana. They always seem to be there.
No, they really always are, and they get behind Akari Johnson, their quarterback, man, from Pleasant Grove. He's awesome. And Jaden Broadley, is one of those guys. He goes both ways, but I think he's a better linebacker than he is a running back. And look, I mean, you just got to have the same mentality. Just know that he's not trying to miss any contact as a running back.
He is physical as they come. And speaking of physical, look at this matchup tonight at the Ford Center. Showdown at the Star doesn't even count this. How about fireworks indoors under the dome at the Ford Center? This DeSoto team has all the offensive firepower you could potentially want.
Just look at one guy, and his name is Jonte Cook, the #1 wide receiver in the state of Texas. He is a guy that can take it to the house, man. He catches everything. Guy has hands like oven mitts, as you see right there. He will come down with the ball, #1, and the Texas commit at that. I tell you what, tonight they are going to have some fireworks, like you said.
Yeah, DeSoto, 618 yards last week in their 37-20 win over Weiss. They're so explosive on offense. Cook the second, like you just mentioned, 44 catches, 760 yards, and 13 touchdowns. That's a good season, right? Wrong. That's his last 6 games only. Rockwall Heath, though, you talk about a team that's under the radar. They defeated Wiley East 23-16 last week. They run the football exceptionally well, 260 yards per game, and they've got Caleb Hoover who can still sling it around a little bit as well.
No, they have a bunch of guys that can play, but Snyder, their running back, that is where they get behind you. They will run that ball, and they will keep your playmakers off of the field. And that's going to be that's going to be the elixir for these guys tonight, is to make sure that they can keep the playmakers from DeSoto off the field and get this running game going.
Taking a look at some of the other notable games across the area, 3 of which that we have to highlight coming up tomorrow. That Frisco Reedy squad that played a lot over at the Star in Frisco, they've got a huge test with that Lancaster bunch at 9-2, Salina at 10-1, Kennedale. Those are 2 teams back and forth that have had great seasons. And then Wiley and Duncanville. Which one catches your eye?
You know, I'm just going to go with the Reedy and Lancaster matchup, because I think the other 2 may end up maybe a little lopsided. But Frisco Reedy, man, that's going to be a matchup that I definitely want to see. They have a running back in Moody, boy. We've seen him. We've talked about him. He goes inside and outside. But the best thing about him is his receiving out of the backfield. He's one of those guys, man, that, again, he does so much for this team. And Coach Cole uses him every way he possibly can.
Yeah, Coach Chad Cole and company, they've had a special season. Caleb Deal at quarterback, who's being recruited at the FCS level, maybe low-end Division I. I think you need to circle his name a little bit. And then, of course, the Texas Tech commit, Caleb Smith, the 3-star wide receiver. He's had a phenomenal year for the Reedy Lions as well. Plenty more to come here on Friday Night Stars, brought to you by Whataburger, Hek'ma Harrison, Kyle Youmans. When we come back, we're headed out west for some notable playoff matchups.
This segment was brought to you by Texas Lottery. Play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big. This segment is brought to you by Whataburger. Head over to your hometown Whataburger and try the patty melt. They may not have been the first to think up this classic sandwich, but they put a pretty tasty spin on it.
The McKinney Lions take on the Jesuit Rangers in the second round of the playoffs this upcoming Friday. If the Lions win, it marks the first time in 2 decades McKinney will advance to the 3rd round. This is a McKinney team averaging 38 points per game, and the offensive attack led by quarterback Keldrick Luster and 4-star running back Brian Jackson. Head coach Marcus Shavers thinks this team is built for success in the postseason, and his players carry that confidence on the field.
Win or go home, and I know I'm not shutting nothing down just yet. I'm not ready to be done playing. And I look around and my whole team's the same way.
You know, our offense, you know, it's big, strong, power offense. You know, you never know when we're going to run it or, you know, play action it and throw it over the top. You know, we got playmakers everywhere.
We feel like our offenses can play in any weather. I feel like our defense travels and can play anywhere. I really think that we're a football team that was built a long time ago to try to go win games this time of the year, and we're excited to still be playing and competing.
Big win for McKinney last week. They go up to Prosper and take on the Jesuit Rangers, 2 teams that can score quite a bit, Hek'ma.
Oh, man, I tell you what, you talk about built. Keldrick Luster is built. I mean, this guy is a quarterback, and he's built like a Mack truck. But Brian Jackson, their running back, he is phenomenal, Kyle. I mean, this is the running attack for McKinney that once they get this thing going, it's hard to stop it. And we already know that Keldrick Luster, he likes to throw that thing around. He has a great arm, but he's also a quarterback that if you force him out the back door, he'll take it home as well.
He's committed to SMU for a reason because he's got some dual threat ability. Prosper also, like we said, this McKinney and Jesuit game in Prosper. Prosper themselves will be playing at Choctaw Stadium in Arlington against South Grand Prairie. This is a Prosper team that is rolling at the moment, looking for their 11th win this season.
Harrison Rosar, their quarterback, is incredible. Number 10 has an arm, and he slings it all around. Javon Henry, you see him scoring a touchdown right here. And a little gritty in the city. This is a kid that really can get down. Like, it's going to start with Harrison Rosar, the senior, 6'1", 180 pounds. Again, once he gets hot, it's really hard to get this guy cool again.
And Prosper has been rolling on all cylinders coming out of that district with Denton, Geyer, Allen, and then themselves, Prosper right there in the mix. There's some teams traveling out west this weekend to take on their second-round playoff opponent. North Crowley traveling 326 miles to take on El Paso Pebble Hill. You've got South Lake Carroll, one of the top teams in the state. They've got quite the trip in their own right, out 250 miles out to San Angelo, and then Cedar Park down in Houston. That's not necessarily going out west, but Mansfield Timberview will make that trip. Any of those catch your eye?
Like, it's going to be South Lake Carroll for sure. I mean, you realize that this is a team that is primed. They have a lot of weapons. They can win it all, but obviously it's going to take a complete team effort for them to do it. And that's the tough thing about a lot of these area teams that we see. When they have to go out to West Texas, there are teams that we don't know about. And so when we hear about these guys losing out in West Texas, it's because that West Texas tough attitude is awaiting them.
And they're going to have to try and figure out a way to do so, of course, without their quarterback, but they do have Owen Allen at running back, who has been phenomenal all season. Also out of their district, North Crowley, the top offense in the state, continued that last week, winning their first-round playoff game. They'll head out west to play again. They can certainly sling the football around in their own right.
Yes, they absolutely can. But they, like I said, this is one of those teams for North Crowley. They know what they come up against. They also have a really good defense as well, Kyle. So it's those West Texas teams that await you, and hopefully they can get a victory.
There is West Texas tough, but then there's Dallas-Fort Worth speed going back and forth, a nice conflicting style between programs heading out that direction into the state of Texas. When we come back, though, talk about power. We've got some power programs that we bring to you. Whataburger Friday Night Stars continuing in a moment.
My favorite memory about playing high school football, it really has nothing to do with on the field. I just love Fridays before the game. You just feel the atmosphere throughout the day of the school, especially when it's a big game. I just love the atmosphere, just knowing that I'm going to go out and have a good game.
J. Ron Kerr, safety for the Dallas Cowboys, sharing his experiences around high school football, and of course those experiences continuing to broaden as we get deeper and deeper into postseason play. Back here with Hek'ma Harrison, I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you're with us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Hek'ma, it's time now for a tradition we have on this program, and that is Power Programs. We're going to take a look at the power programs that I had from last week. These are 50 burgers in by district. These are teams that won by more than 50 points in their first playoff game. We start off with Aubrey over Lincoln. Of course, that one, I'm sure, gets a little personal for you because you went to Lincoln, right?
That has to be the first one for you, huh? I like that. I like how you snuck that in there, Kyle. Thank you so much.
Over Vernon. Yeah, that's interesting. Argyle with a shutout win, 63-0 over OD Wyatt. Arlington Martin, wow, what a win they had over Richardson Berkner. Dallas Christian. Duncanville, we expect Duncanville to put up 70 points in playoff time, right?
No.
And then you've got Malakoff over Madison. Any of those really look kind of pique your interest a little bit?
I mean, Duncanville is pretty much calling their shots right now. I mean, they have some games set up for them to do 60, 50 burgers each and every week. So I wouldn't expect for the Duncanville Panthers to slow down anytime soon.
Coach Samples, Reginald Samples, has that thing rolling. And when we come back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars, we take a look at some of the best coaches in the area and our Landry Award finalist for Coach of the Year.
Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. was brought to you by Texas Lottery. Play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big. And by Whataburger. Head over to your hometown Whataburger and try the patty melt. They may not have been the first to think up this classic sandwich, but they put a pretty tasty spin on it.
So we've talked about quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and defenders, but Tom Landry was a coach for the Landry Award. Of course, there's a Coach of the Year. Here are your 5 finalists. Marcus Gase out of Dallas Madison, Mike Alexander from Grapevine, Bill Elliott from Salina. It's always Salina time, right? Chad Rogers, and then Greg George out of Mansfield. And you got a chance to catch up with Grapevine High School head coach Mike Alexander earlier in the year. What'd you think?
I think this guy is a leader of men, and his mantras that he talks about for this program and building these guys up. Mike even said, he's like, a lot of these guys, man, they leave here. They don't go and play college ball. These guys go to college and become great students. So their opportunity to win is right now. And that triple option, he has it rolling, and these guys are believing. So I think he's the guy for that award.
One of our favorites on this entire show is Parker Polk and what he's able to do running the football. Coach Alexander is a big credit to what Parker Polk has done on the gridiron this year. All of these coaches very deserving, and one of them will walk away as the Coach of the Year for the Landry Award. But that does it for us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. That does it for us for the 22 season. For everybody involved, for Hek'ma Harrison, I'm Kyle Youmans. We'll see you next year on Friday Night Stars.